Last time I talked about how to put fighting game mechanics into your turn-based combat game, and I talked a bit about the monk in Dungeons and Dragons. Now he's kind of like the fighting game character of those games, right? And so what if he was actually exactly like a fighting game character where he had combos and stuff? But that's not what he is in the actual game, right? So then I wondered, what is the point of the monk? Because I've never used a monk in one of these games. Have you? Why would you? It's like when it comes to like the classes in those games, there's always it's kind of like you got like these main four guys, right? Because you got the fighter, you got the cleric, you got the thief, and you got the wizards. And yeah, maybe you got like a ranger, and you got like the bard, or maybe the barbarian, druid. You got you can kind of switch some of those out. And I guess the monk is supposed to be like the switch in for the fighter. But then again, like, is that really what you want to go for? Because like the fighter's very, he's very reliable. He's got his shield and his armor. He's all reliable. Even if you want to replace him with a paladin. Way better. Even replace him with a cleric. Like, but a monk, I don't know. Like, because sure, I mean, you could like if you like the first time when you play like a game like Baldur's Gate, you kind of want to stick with the basics, right? Because you don't know what's gonna come at you. Like you kind of want to stick with these guys, and maybe if one of them dies, you can replace him. Like oh, I'm gonna try the monk now. But like you generally don't really want to do that because you want to have these guys you make, and then you want these guys to go through the whole adventure, right? So why would you put on like why would you make one a class that you who may not be able to like really be that defensive barrier you need? Maybe if you replay the game, But am I ever really gonna replay Baldur's Gate? Well, no, I still need to play Baldur's Gate 2 and 3 and probably like a whole bunch of other games. So I don't know. I don't know why we use him. Even in other games like Final Fantasy. Now, what does the Black Belt do? I don't know. He's just a fighter, but he doesn't use weapons and armor. Okay, like even there, it gets adapted into like something like Earthbound. Like Poe. Yeah, he doesn't use armor or weapons, but then later on he gets armor that's specifically for him. So I don't know what the point is. But then and went and read through first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, like the books, which you can actually just find like PDFs on the Internet Archive, or at least you can right now. If the Internet Archive doesn't go under. But yeah, they're actually really interesting books because this is where it started, kind of. Like it's not the ultimate first edition because that's the one that you required chainmail to operate. And it's not even like the one that used in Baldur's Gate, because there's also like second edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. I used to think that Advanced Dungeons and Dragons was the second edition because it's advanced. No, it's just first edition, but like better. And then second edition they also called it advanced, and then they stopped. So yeah, if you're playing Pool of Radiance for like the NES or the PC, that's first edition. Then Baldur's Gate 1, that's second edition. So that's kind of cool. And like this book, it's like really interesting, right? Because it's completely like it doesn't it didn't take like inspiration from anything before it, well, except it took play inspiration from Lord of the Rings, of course, and like chainmail and everything. But like there's a lot of stuff in here that nobody incorporates when they're copying Dungeons and Dragons. It's always like kind of it's this basic framework, but there's like a lot more stuff here. Like there's all these weird mechanics like alignment languages and psionics, and pretty much every class has like some kind of stronghold they can build. Like once they hit level 9, it's like you can go and get a fighter just gets an entire castle and he becomes a lord and he has all these people working for him. Even a wizard, they can make a wizard's tower. Thieves, they can create a thief's stronghold. And this is not something you're gonna be doing the first time you play this game, right? Like you're gonna stick to the basics. But if you've been playing this edition for like I don't know, like 3 years, you've done like a bunch of campaigns with your friends. Why not have a campaign where you start a wizard's tower, where everyone's a wizard and you have your wizard's tower? That's something you can do. Let's just go into why would you pick a monk? Like, what are supposedly the advantages? Well, the first advantage, supposedly, is that they don't use weapons or armor. Okay, How is that an advantage? Well, it's cheap. That's it. Like, when you at the beginning of the game, the fighter, he has to go out and buy a sword, and he has to go out and buy like armor. And depending on how much money he has, he may not be able to afford like plate mail. He maybe he only can afford like leather or like chain mail. Okay, so that kind of, I guess that kind of his money situation kind of hampers his ability to get ready, to get all his stuff. But the rest of the party also has to buy armor, and like I mean, the wizard literally can't wear armor. He can't, and is that an advantage? Well, no. Like it's cheap, sure, but wizards have to buy. They have to buy spells. They have to spend money on spells. Okay, but even then, like, what is the monk spending his money on? I don't know. He needs it to for the car payment on his house. He needs to buy a car with it. I don't know. Everyone's just constantly asking for money. Hey, monk, you're not spending that money. Can you can you give me some of yours so I can buy a better armor so I can defend us better? And monk's like, okay. It's not an advantage. No, the idea is that he doesn't need armor or weapons because his fists and his natural like evasiveness and like I don't know, like his muscles are enough to like do the job for him. That's kind of the idea. It's not very, it's not very good, and it's also magic items. Like a fighter may find a magic sword or magic armor. The monk, he has nothing for him. He can have a displacer cloak. Like that's a magic cloak that helps with armor class. Okay, like there's some, but then you just have, then that's not an advantage anymore. That's just it's kind of like the same but different. So what's the point? Well, there's not much of a point, I guess then. But then there are advantages to not requiring weapons, because what if you meet a rust monster? Because a rust monster rusts metal. In that case, like the fighters get fucked, right? And the monk's like, I'm just gonna punch the rust monster. Ugh. But also the wizard can just cast spells, and the ranger can just shoot arrows. Well, maybe he can shoot like I don't know, wooden arrows. So it's like, again, it's like, yeah, it's as if the monk is better in all the situations that other classes are worse. Like he's like a jack of all trades, kind of like he is like good in disadvantage. And it's like, okay, well that's not amazing, but what if they get thrown in jail? Again, that's like a kind of disadvantage too, because you get thrown in jail, all your stuff gets taken. The fighter, his sword and his armor, it's gone. And, he's still pretty strong. I'm gonna bend the bars and escape. Like the wizard gets his spellbook taken away. He's screwed. The thief may be able to hide like a lockpick up his ass. And I guess like, but the monk's like, oh yeah, this is where I come in. I'm gonna punch my way out. I'm gonna punch the wall out. I still have my weapons. And it's like, yes, you do. You do still have your weapons. We're all in disadvantage, but now it's your time to shine. When we're all screwed, you're gonna have to do everything on your own, because we have nothing. And it's like, oh, okay, well that also kind of sucks, And again, when it comes to video games, how often does it even happen? I mean, like in Oblivion, they did have a spell called Disintegration, but then you can just repair that stuff, or grab a different sword, just, oh no, my sword got destroyed. Another sword. Just carry more swords. What's the problem? Just carry leather armor. Okay, there you go. Magic leather armor for your fighter. Rust monster gone. And even like something like Skyrim. Oh, you get put in jail. Well, magic doesn't even require a spellbook in that game, so it's just like pew. You still have a lockpick, so you still need to lockpick out, and then I guess you can punch them all out. You can punch all the guards. I mean, like, why not just sneak out? What are you doing? But then it's also like, what if you're on a boat? That's another thing. What if you're on a boat and a kraken attacks and you all fall in the water? Now the fighter, and if you're a fighter and you're on a boat, take off your armor. Take off your iron armor, your metal armor, put it in a chest, have the chest chained to the ship, so even if the ship wrecks, you can still find, the treasure chest or something, or just buy something new, whatever. You get plenty of money from adventuring anyway. But the monk, because when the fighter falls in and he still has his metal armor, he's gonna sink to the bottom. Which again would be kind of cool if in Skyrim that happened. Like, oh, I can walk on the floor of the on the seafloor. But again, that's not even really an issue. Because that's like a mechanic that doesn't even get programmed in. So yeah, the monk can swim, and he doesn't lose any of his armor class, I guess, because he doesn't wear armor. He never needed it in the first place. But like, and same thing with like water combat in general. How many games have water combat? Not many. Because like, why bother programming that in? Like if you have like a pen and paper game, you can write something up. But even then, water, it's again disadvantage. Because your characters aren't supposed to be in the water. That's exactly why the DM throws you in the water. To screw you over. To have the lizard men pop out with their spears, which work really well in the water, and their nets and shit. It's a challenge. It's supposed to be difficult. And yeah, your monk is then kind of insurance for if that happens. But can he really punch well in the water? He can use a spear. He can use nunchucks. Maybe you'll find some magic nunchucks. Like, oh yeah, magic nunchucks of legends. No, like you're gonna find a magic sword. So he doesn't even have magic nunchucks. He doesn't have anything. He's just gonna punch him on the water, and it may work. But it's not that good. And it doesn't really happen in Baldur's Gate or in Skyrim or anywhere else. Punching is really just, it's kind of like the joke thing. I'm gonna play Oblivion and just punch. In Fallout New Vegas, they actually had certain quests would give you certain like unarmed like rewards. Like you would get a special move where you could do like a leg sweep and it would put the enemies on their ass. And that's like the one thing you can do if you really want to go unarmed and that was like a skill you could put points into. You can do it, but it's usually like a joke. Like it's purposely made more powerful, like by giving you these special techniques or make it go through armor or something. Like I don't know. It usually a lot of stuff has to be done to make it even remotely useful. So that's kind of lame. But then also the final thing that makes monks kind of better is that because they don't wear armor, they're also a lot sneakier and faster. Because the fighter, yeah, he's a tank. He moves slowly. The monk, he's fast. He can like punch a guy and then run over there. He's kind of like a thief, kind of like a combination of fighter and thief. But like thief is very fast, but he's not that good in combat. Monk, yeah, he kick a guy, run over there, punch another guy. He can kind of do that. He can kind of go out sneaking with the thief. Like in first edition, they even get some thief abilities, like even lockpicking, I think. Yeah. And they can they climb walls, so they can go with the thief, and the thief's not on his own. He can be backup, he can do the falcon like neck thing, like when they get knocked out. Maybe he can do that. He can do like a paralyzing punch. He even has that, so that's kind of useful. And also like in 5th edition, apparently they can just run up walls and run over water. Like the exact distance they can run up walls, they can also run over water before falling in. So if there's a guy, if the monk can like run up a 3 meter long tall wall, like there's a guy on the walls like, I spit in your general direction, and the monk just runs up and kicks his teeth out. Fucking startled. Same thing with water, it's like you're at the other end of this 3 meter wide lake. Monk just runs over, punch, and that's kind of cool. So there are advantages to that, but it's initially it doesn't seem like too many. And again, when you talk something like Final Fantasy, like they had black belts all the way up to level Final Fantasy 13. Now they didn't really like their abilities kind of changed over the time. Like in Final Fantasy 13 they'll just work like MMO classes anyway. But like it started out with just like fighters, they have armor and weapons. Black belts don't. And I don't know, I never used a black belt in Final Fantasy, but they pretty much come down to like the same effectiveness, right? Like, what's the difference? I mean, well, the fighter, he got like a special sword, like one of the quests. So it's like, they really want this. And then like by Final Fantasy 6, they just had like their own weapons. And like Final Fantasy 7, Tifa, every character in that game had their own weapon. Like this wasn't even like a thing where they could all use like share weapons. Like they all had their own weapon, and you just go to the store and buy Tifa some gloves, some Tekken gloves. Like, yeah, it's Tekken. Okay, well then what's the point of her being a black belt? What's the class here? What's she doing? There's nothing. There's just nothing. And that's 90% of all of these games. The monk, or the black belt or whatever, is just, I don't use weapons. But I'm just as effective without them. So it's like, it saves a little bit of money, but even in Final Fantasy, like most of the best stuff was found in chests. So you could just, I don't know, I guess you could sell it now and have like extra money for your spellcasters. That was kind of expensive. But let's just let me tell you what's actually going on here in original Dungeons and Dragons, because there's a lot of mechanics here that those black belts, those monks don't get, and it's kind of crazy. Because like, well, one of the things, there is another reason why you would want to play a monk, and it's kind of like it's a very interesting reason, because it's for fantasy purposes. And then I don't mean like fantasy is in like elves and dwarves. I mean fantasy is in like the power fantasy, like right. Because when you play in these games, a lot of people, of course, wanna they play out their fantasies of being super cool guy. Like you, because you've already always got like the fighter who is like, oh, I'm gonna have a katana, and I'm gonna have like a trench coat. I'm gonna have long silver hair. Oh, really? Like, who's that? Is that Sephiroth? No, it's Zekroth. Yeah, and that's basically the same thing that's going on with the monks. Because monks are kind of like the anime characters of Dungeons and Dragons. Like they are, like straight up, like, because so many people back in like the 90s and whatever, they must have just called their monks Goku, right, or Ryu. And like, in fifth edition, there's probably like monks can just, they have all these cheap powers and whatever. They can probably just throw a Hadouken or a Kamehameha. I mean, like in fifth edition, there's a barbarian subclass who can shoot lightning out of his stomach. He can as a bonus action, yeah, out of his chest. So this, you just become an anime character. And even like Dragon Quest, in Dragon Quest 3, there was like you had all the classes, and you had like a male and female version and whatever. And of course Akira Toriyama, artist of Dragon Ball Z, of course, like he literally like he had the martial artist class, and they literally just looked like Goku. Like as in they had like a martial arts tee, and they had like a big circle with like the kanji in it. The same that Goku wears. It's just Goku. And even nowadays, there's probably so many people who just like they name a monk after some anime character. Like because even like punching, that's the thing. Because it's like, oh, I'm gonna name my character Deku. Whoa, so cool. So like some things just never change, Like, oh, I'm gonna call my character One Punch Man, and he's gonna punch people, and then if they die in one hit, I'm gonna be like exactly like One Punch Man. That's what I found really fucking lame about that. It's like oh, now every time someone like is defeated in one hit or someone gets punched, it's like, oh, we're gonna have Overwatch 2, like you see that Overwatch 2 like crossover with One Punch Man. Oh, it's Doomfist. And he has the big he has the stupid the stupid clothes on. It's the Saitama skin. It's like, yeah, get it, because he's a big fist. Yeah. And of course, like One Punch Man is supposed to be like a parody, even though like it can't really parody like show an anime like that, like it's like supposed to be like over the top, because it's like, oh, this anime character is so powerful, just kills everything in one hit. Ooh, how over the top. Okay, buddy. Like like Dragon Ball Z, whoever wins the fights in that show is whoever has the bigger number. And they literally go to like some kind of space-time chamber where time is like stands still, so you can just train forever, or they just scream for a bunch. Like, because really, like, anytime people like are parodying that, it's always full of shit. Because people love that shit. You can't parody something that people love about the thing. It's like, oh, it's so cliche. Well, yeah, because people like that stuff, Like, I mean, Animaniacs did like a parody of that, of like those kind of cliches, Amazing World of Gumball did that, and every time it's always super duper lame, because it's just lampshading. It's a benign spoof. It's like, we're all very self-aware about it, that it's all very cliche. It's all the same stuff every time. It all shown anime are all the same, like they're all the same, right? But we also really like it, but we kind of want to be self-aware about it, like. Yeah, I kind of want the same thing over and over again, but I don't like thinking about it that way. So really, like punching someone once and then them dying or whatever and like exploding, that's not new. Like back in the 80s, There was even like this anime called Fist of the North Star. You probably heard of this one, because there's so many memes came from this. Like the Nani meme came from that. You are already dead. That's from that anime. Because what happens in that is that it's like the post-apocalyptic wasteland, right? Everything's like desert and shit and broken cars. And then there's all these bad guys, these really stereotypical bad guys, where they're really big guys and they've got like biker jackets and they're like bald, but they have like a pink mohawk and they have like an earring and they have like big lips and the guy's like, yeah, they have these really tiny eyes, really tiny, like, and they pick up some old lady and old lady's like, oh, and he's like, oh, give me all your money, old lady. I'm a stereotypical bad guy. And Fist of the North Star man, right? He like walks up all stoically, because being stoic is awesome. He's so stoic. And the guy's like, who the hell are you? And Fist of the North Star man, he just very stoically starts punching super fast. And the guy's like, I'm being punched. But then, like, suddenly he stops punching. And the guy's like, that didn't do anything. And then Fist of the North Star man, he says his catchphrase. He's like, you are already dead. Very stoically. And the guy's like, oh, what the hell does that mean? And then he just dies. Blood comes out of his mouth. He just dies. Because Fist of the North Star man, he pushes all your pressure points or whatever, and you die on a delay. It's fucking nuts. It's crazy. Right? So, like, how is that less crazy than, like, punching someone once and then dying? It's not. It's all ridiculous. But the joke of this all is that monks are literally even crazier because they can do both in the same power. They have this power where they punch you once, and after they've done that, some kind of vibration is in your body. At any point, they can go kill him, and then you die. They do both. They have that, and it's kind of really weird. Like, is that it's that's the thing about, like, is that because you've got all the rules here, it all feels very mechanical, right? Because the thing about anime is not only are things very over the top, but they also act very over the top, right? Like, even if something is really lame, they'll act as if it's like the coolest shit ever. They're really trying to sell you on that, right? Like, characters are always screaming, when the main character does anything, it's always the coolest shit ever, It's like, it's like they could make shopping, like breeding, like sound cool if they put enough effort into it. But when you know how the mechanics work, it kind of takes a lot of that, like, magic away, right? Because suddenly you know the limits. You know exactly what you have to do in order to not get punched once and die. And so it makes a lot more, it's made a lot more like, oh, I use my super punch. All right, roll. You hit, he dies. And you gotta play it up a bit. But, like, there's a lot of stuff here in this book that's just crazy. So, knowing all that, let me just tell a little bit. Let me read a bit from the book, because I've downloaded the PDF onto this 2012 iPad, which still works, surprisingly. Not well, but it works. And first thing, I want to kind of tell you about, like, the classes again. Because this is, like, really, really funny. Because, like, of course, nowadays you got, like, so many classes, and all of them have, like, 10 subclasses. Even, like, in Baldur's Gate. I had a bard, and I was like, oh, I want... There's all these subclasses. Like, with Fighter, you've got, like, Wizard Killer, where they're good against, like, spellcasters or something, right? Or, like, I had a bard, but instead of, like, a regular bard, where he has a song that makes characters immune to fear, I'm gonna have, like, I don't know, juggler or something. I don't know what it was called, But his thing was that he could use his song to confuse enemies or something. Thing is, there were a lot of moments where my characters got, like, fear on them. Most enemies are kind of immune, like, or resistant. Like, you need to make, like, a saving throw to, like, confuse them, and it never really works. So really, I should have just gone with a regular bard. But yeah, that's kind of how the classes and subclasses works. Here, there's only, like, 5 classes, and there's only, like, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 subclasses. Yeah, seriously, and the subclasses are a lot more specific because the subclasses are just classes, actually. It's really weird. So let me read you this. So first there's the Fighter, right? No, okay, you got the Fighter. And its subclasses are 1, Paladin. Alright, makes sense. But then second, Ranger. And that seems weird. But if you think about it, Well, a ranger is just a guy. Well, he does have some druid abilities. Druid. But he mainly just uses a bow, right? Or sometimes he uses like two swords. Like he slashes two swords. So like a ranger is really just a fighter who got expertise in using a bow. Okay, and also you have to remember like Lord of the Rings, Aragorn was referred to as a ranger, so he's like he's a fighter, basically. But like also like Legolas is the ranger, because in like the very first edition, there wasn't even like a races and classes distinction. It said like being an elf was a class. Everyone was human unless you were an elf, a hobbit, or dwarf, and then that was also your class. So Legolas was the class. So that's kind of how that worked. Another thing about classes, about the races actually, is there's a lot of like limitations put on other races. Like they make it very clear that this is a very human-centered game. Like the other races are like the humans are the heroes, and so only humans can reach max level in any class. The others they have very severe limitations, especially the half-orcs. Half-orcs can only be fighters, thieves, or clerics. And even then, a cleric only level 4, max. And it's not, I don't even know why they can't go higher, because it's the same class. Like the race doesn't really change anything about it. So it's not like they have to write up more stuff for it. But yeah, like just at level 4, you stop, it's like, oh sorry, like your Butterfree can only go up to level 20. So now you have to get rid of it. Yeah, now, another weird thing is when it comes to multi-classing and dual-classing. Multi-classing is being multiple class at the same time. So it's like fighter, magic user, or fighter, magic user, thief. And your experience points gets like divided between these three classes. And then you can choose whether or not you want to level them up. But it's still like the experience points just goes like evenly among them. So it's like slower to level up as a fighter than just someone who's just a fighter. But because like these other, but the thing is, only non-humans can multi-class, and only humans can dual class. Where dual classing is like you're switching between classes, where you start as a fighter, and then you level up a bunch, and then you're like, oh, I want to be a thief now, and you remain your fighting ability. You're still as good with a sword as you were when you were a fighter, but now you have thief abilities as well. So if you're like a half elf, you basically need to be multi-classer. Because otherwise, you're going to hit fighter level 12 or something. And you're just stuck anyway. So you may as well just be fighter, magic user, thief. Because then, may as well level them all up. Because at some point, you're going to be max fighter, max magic user. And then, well, you got to be thief. You may as well level up thief now. So you may as well. Now, the maximum level, I think, like combined, they can still be level 20 only. So you may still want to like kind of plan it out. Like, maybe make thief like the lesser ones. Yeah, so if you're a half-orc, you gotta be fighter cleric or fighter thief, because otherwise you're not, even then, I don't think you can go past level 16. You're just kind of screwed. Yeah. So, but then, next up we got the cleric. Yeah, there's the cleric, and his subclass is the druid. Yeah, seems kind of weird. You think like the wizards would have subclass druid. But no, it's the cleric, I guess. Okay. Then you got magic user, which is, I guess wizards, And his subclass is illusionist. And what is illusionist? Well, after this, you've probably never heard of one. But it's kind of the same thing. Because illusionists, of course, learn illusion magic. But wizards also learn this magic, but later. So it's like their magic school, like the magic spells they learn, they've been swapped from early game to late game and late game to early game. Also, illusion is a little bit more balanced, like they're better at low levels, but then worse at higher levels. Not too big a difference. Again, you may just want to stick with the magic user. You just don't bother with the illusionist unless you've been playing for a while. Then you got the thief. You got thief, and his subclass is assassin. You're an assassin. The problem with assassins is, well, of course, they're more about, backstabbing, assassinations. So, okay, thing is, like, this isn't just like, oh, different skills. You're part of an assassin, like, guild. You're part of the Dark Brotherhood. And you have to do this. Like, you also have to be evil. It's kind of like that. You're part of the assassin guild. So it doesn't work if you have if you have a paladin on your team. Like at some point she's like, oh guys, I gotta go. I've got a crocheting club. I'll see you guys in like 2 weeks. And like a week later, it's gonna be news like, hear ye, the emperor has been assassinated. A week later, like a guy comes back, hi guys, how you been? I just had to crochet, and then hey, you see the orc? Oh man, he's guarding the bridge. I'll get rid of him. Sneaks up on him, slits his throat. Sorry, what class are you? Oh, I'm a thief. Yeah. So it's unless you're all assassins, you're all part of the same guild. So it's like again probably not bother with that. So then finally, as like the fifth main class, we got monk. Just monk, doesn't have any subclasses. Really odd, right? Like really strange. Like he's just his own class. Very odd. Yeah. Uh, so let's just talk a bit about. Let's just read this a bit, because what's going on with this monk guy? He's such an asshole. Because he really is in a league of his own. He's very different, so he deserves to be his own class. Let me tell you that. Let's see. Okay, here, the monk. The monk is the most unusual of all characters, the hardest to qualify for, and perhaps the most deadly. Well, actually, he's not the most qualified for, actually. Because there is the bard, actually. I didn't say it just now, but the bard does exist in this game. But the only way to get him is to dual class. You have to be human, because only humans can dual class. And then you have to start as a fighter. And then you have to spend at least like a certain amount of levels as a fighter. But you can kind of pick, it's like, you're spending time as a fighter. Then you have to switch to thief. And then you switch, then you become a bard. But you're under druidic tutelage. You go to druid school. So it's like you have to spend a certain amount of levels as fighter, certain amount of levels as thief, and a certain amount as druids. And depending how long you stay in each class, that's how good you are at that particular thing. So it really is a jack of all trades thing. Where it's like if you want to be a really good fighter, you stay as fighter maximum amount of time. And you don't care about thievery, whatever. Like minimum amount of time. But like even if you like thief, probably you can only be like maximum 5 levels, and like fighters like maximum 7 or something. So thief's always like the last one of those. But that's how you get a bard. And even then, once you become a real bard, you start like at level 1, I think, and then you can go up all the way to level 23. So bards are like OP. So I don't know what they're talking about with their monks, although they do say that bards, your DM might not allow them because they're OP, as they should be. So yeah. Perhaps the most deadly. Well, they're kind of right about that. That is why the class is given out of alphabetical order at the end of the section pertaining to character classes. They break the alphabet. To be a monk, a character must have the following minimum ability scores. Strength 15, Wisdom 15, Dexterity 15, and Constitution 11. Okay, well, you better hope you don't have, because it does sound too high. But in combination with all those others, yeah, that sucks, man. Like, oh, sorry, you have a constitution of 10. You don't qualify. Well, I'm sorry. I'm not healthy enough. Monks never gain any experience points bonuses. Dexterity gives them no armor class adjustment. Now, the way that works is that armor class, instead of like armor like reducing damage, it prevents damage. And the way that kind of works is that first you dodge. So if someone attacks you, first you try to dodge. If they aim so well that you can dodge, then your armor comes into play. Like it blocks the attack, just straight up. And if they hit between your armor, like between the slits, or you can also have like a shield that's also like a defense. And after that, it just hits your flesh. So if you have really good dexterity, you have better dodging ability. And they basically count it as armor. So, and it sounds weird. Like, why shouldn't the monk get the most dexterity? Well, no, because it's kind of balanced out. Because, again, like, as a monk, you already need 15 dexterity. So that's already a +2. So you would never get, like, a minus on your armor class. So that's kind of, it's kind of lame anyway. But instead, they gain better armor class as they level up. Because at level 1, they're just starting at being a martial artist. At level 1, they're just some nerds. They're just some nerd who knows karate. They can punch and they can kick. But they don't deal with much damage because it's just punching and kicking. A sword's always going to do more damage, right? So there's some nerds, like, so. But as they get better at dodging. They get better at deflecting attacks. That's actually the main thing that makes them different from fighters when it comes to defensive use. Is they don't block damage. They just evade it to the point where they can actually straight up like dodge like arrows and like even like grab them out of the air and like throw them back. Like in 5th edition, they can straight up throw back projectiles, including like magic. So they can grab a magic missile and just throw it back. Grab a fireball, throw it back. They have to do a saving throw. But still here, they also have this. Here, monks make saving throws on the table used by thieves, but they gain certain advantages. Non-magical missiles, so that's like, so you got magic missile, which is a missile of magic, which then became the spell. I've explained this before, but arrows, bolts, those are also called missiles. Any like ranged attack. So a fireball is also technically a magic missile, right? Arrows, bolts, bullets, thrown daggers. Yeah, bullets. Well, not from guns. I don't think from guns. Maybe from cannons. Javelins, thrown spears. Isn't that just a javelin? Well, no, I guess not. Which would normally hit can be dodged or knocked aside if the monk is able to make his or her saving throw against petrification for each such potential hit. Why petrification? I'm guessing because that's a really hard saving throw to make. So it's like, oh, you have like a 1 in 10 chance of like not getting petrified if a basilisks look at you, and we're gonna use the same chance for you to knock aside arrows. It's like we'll just reuse the number. That's what they're interested in. So it doesn't really make sense, but it's the number they want. In other respects, if a monk makes his or her saving throw against an attack form higher, a monk who fails to make hang on a second. The monk will sustain. In other respects, if a monk makes his or her saving throw against an attack form, the monk will sustain no damage from the attack, even if the attack form was a fireball. For instance, at 9th level or higher, a monk who fails to make his or her saving throw will still sustain but 1/2 the total potential damage, which the attack form could deliver, if possible. So, basically, the thing about one thing that makes wizards so good is that their magic just kind of hits. Like magic missile always hits. Fireballs, because it's like an explosion or like a lightning bolt or something. Even if you get a dexterity saving throw, even if you succeed, it deals half damage. So it's guaranteed damage. So it doesn't matter if a fighter or a monk has I guess a monk not, but like even if a fighter has really good dexterity, really good armor class, or like he makes a saving throw, if he has 1 HP, he's dead. Monks, if they succeed, take no damage. So again, they just ignore damage, which is really good, right? But even if they fail, they only take half. That's crazy. The amount of damage they dodge. It's like a Shijinja. It's like, oh, we got this guy over here using water spouts, at full health. With the choice specs. Shijinja's like, well, I don't care about that. I have 1 HP and I'm not taking any damage. Wonder guard. That's what they do. It's like really crazy. It's really absolutely crazy. They just dodge everything. That's where their ball comes from. Now, if they want to defend their teammates, they of course are going to have to like grab it out of the air and like stop it or something. But other than that, they can just do that. Man, they have like resist against surprise. They have all kind of thief abilities. They have pretty much all the thief abilities. Find, remove traps, move silently, hide in shadows, hear noise. Yeah, thieves are good at hearing noise, like through doors as well. That's also an ability they have here. Climb walls. They can just do all of it. They're kind of like thieves. But one funny thing about this game too is that at every level, every class has like a title, got a level title, and it may seem stupid, but it kind of works for like an in-game thing, right? Like an in-universe thing. Because let's say you want someone to know that you're a level 10 monk. How would you say that? Are you going to say, I'm a level 10 monk? And they're like, what does that mean? That sounds like, are you one of those fucking losers who like plays video games all their life and then they get like transported to a fantasy world and then you're going to be like a freaking like video game character? Piss off. Fuck you. You're some fucking nerd. Get out of here. You don't know what it's like here. You loser. So instead what you do is you say, I'm master of the West Wind. And then everyone knows, oh shit, that's a really good monk. Because it's, you're a level 10 monk. Okay, but like there's an idea there how strong you are. Like level 1, you're a novice. Level 2, initiate. Level 3, brother. Level 6, you're already a master. And level 7, superior master. And then master of dragons, master of the north wind, master of the west wind, south wind, east wind. So the east wind, that's one's the best. And then master of winter, master of autumn, master of summer, master of spring, grand master of flowers, which is a level 17 monk, which is that's the highest level you can be as a monk. Yeah, level 17. Grand master of flowers. Yeah. So yeah, that's not, that's a limit. That kind of sucks a little bit. But also, as they level up, they gain better armor class. So, their effective armor class, which, back then, like having high armor class, like above 0 especially, is like bad. And having lower is good. Below 0 especially. So at level 1, they have an armor class of 10, which is bad. So with no armor, they're really vulnerable. Really vulnerable. So then it goes 9, 8, 7, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 3, 2, 1, 0. At level 13, it becomes 0. Which, fighters can pretty much get that with just armor, so yeah. But then at level 17, it's minus 3. Which is good. I actually don't know, like, how relatively that's good. So yeah, that kind of sucks, but also they can block projectiles. They can completely, like, be immune to magic. Yeah, and also, from level 3 all the way to level 13, every level, they gain a special ability. And these get kind of crazy. I mean, they're not all very useful, but they're also kind of weird. So, here's ability A. At level 3, the ability to speak with animals as druids do, which begins at their level of experience. You can talk to animals at level 3. You can just do that. I'm going to talk to that horse. Yeah. Now, one thing that's annoying about being a monk, though, is that you have to be part of a monastery and be neutral and shit. It's kind of boring. Let's ignore that. Yeah, then next level, the ability to mask the mind so that ESP has only a 30% chance of success. This is about psionics, by the way. Got removed at some point. One of the probably worst mechanics ever, but in like one of these games. But if you're a monk, 30% chance to be completely resistant to it. And that's good. Like, it doesn't happen a lot, but mind flares have psionics, actually. Yeah, so, that'd be the one situation where that would be really good. Yeah, it would. At next level, a monk is not subject to diseases of any sort. Nor is he ever affected by haste or slow spells. Okay, so the haste one, that kind of sucks. Because haste is a positive spell. You want that one. Unless it's only like the negative effects of the haste, because once haste ends, you're like tired. But maybe he's completely immune. That's kind of lame. But no diseases. That's useful. Next level, the ability to use self-induced catalepsy to appear dead. This can be done perfectly. As the 6th level monk is able to lower his or her body temperature and heart rate, the monk is able to maintain the state for twice the number of turns, 10-minute periods, which equal his level. So 12 turns at the 6th level. Okay. If you're in a combat, I guess that's useful. Out of combat, if you have to stay dead for like during a funeral, that's a long time. You can't do that. I don't think so. But then like maybe a level like 17, that's 17 times 2, 34. Yeah, I think so, right? 34 turns. Okay. Next level. The monk gains the ability to heal damage on his or her body. The amount of damage which can be healed is 2 to 5 hit points, d4 plus 1, and this amount increases by 1 hit point with each experience level gained thereafter. Okay, so that kind of sucks. So it's like up to 5 hit points. But then at level 17, it's like... Okay, so it starts at level 7. So that's a maximum of 15 points. Yeah. This may be done once per day. 50 hit points per day, maximum. At 17 level? Kinda sucks. But resting for a full day, 24 hours, only heals 1 hit point. So if you're ever in a situation where you have no cleric, where you have no healing, where the monk is just on his own, or they just literally don't have a cleric, being able to heal 15 times as much, like maybe, the enemies may think, we've got rid of that guy for a while. Although, like, at 17 level, he probably has a lot of hit points. So, yeah, full health, yeah. But yeah, just through meditating, in a week, you'll be all ready. Like, that's kind of like, yeah, sure, in video game terms, that's a long time. But in real life terms, being able to heal, like, broken bone, like, just heal your body that quickly. Like, let's say you get in a really fucked up sword fight, and you you have guts all over your body. That's really fucking good. You're just you're just healed immediately. Amazing, if you only take like a slight hit, like one day, 50 hit points, you lose 50 hit points, you just use the ability, you're all fine, so it has a use, it's just not as extreme. Next level, the ability to speak with plants. Let's do it too. Speak with plants. Speak with plants. Nice. Next one, beguiling charms. Hypnosis and suggestion spells have only 50% chance of affecting a monk. That is, if the monk is 50% resistant to such magic, this resistance increases 5% per level thereafter. Okay. Saving throws apply if resistance fails. So first you roll for the 50% chance, and then after that, if you fail that, still get a saving throw. If you get hypnotized, okay, good. That's nice. This adds up, right? All these abilities add up. Telepathic and Mind Blast attacks. See Adventures in Dragons Monster Manual Mind Flare. So, Mind Flares again. Upon a monk of 10 level or higher, are made as if the character had an 18 intelligence, due to the monk's mental discipline. That's really good. Nice. Next ability, because it just... Three more abilities. At 11th and higher levels of experience, monks are not affected by poison of any type. Alright, nice. No disease, no poison. Works. Next one. Geese and quest spells have no effect upon monks of 12th or higher level. I don't know what those... I don't know what those are. I don't know. So I can't tell you about it. Sorry. The last ability gains... And perhaps the most terrible power, which is at... What level was this? Let me see. Level 13. Okay. That's not too bad. This is the one. This is where it gets good. Because the other ones are all like kind of passives. They're all kind of like peaceful. Talk to plants. Yeah. Oh, here we go. The most terrible power is the fabled attack, which enables the monk to set up vibrations in the body of the victim, and the monk can then control such vibrations so as to cause death to occur when the monk stops them, known as the quivering palm. The monk merely touches his victim to set up the deadly vibrations. Touch, not even punch. I guess a palm, but touch them. The victim can be virtually any creature. This power is limited as follows. So there's limits. So again, if you know the limits, it's not as scary. Like if some guy, if it's a North Star man, punch you 10 million times, and then you explode at a delay, that's really scary. But like if you know the limitation of that, you can kind of work around it, right? So first, it can be attempted but once per week. And the monk must touch the intended victim within 3 melee rounds, or the power is drained for 1 week. So you have to activate the power. Then you need to get a touch in. So if you know that, if you know that Fist of North Star Man can only do this once a week, and he needs to touch you, and he needs to activate the ability, you can just kind of keep it at arm's distance, they just shoot some arrows at him. Or just sacrifice a guy. Yeah, sorry Frank, you're gonna have to sacrifice yourself. Alright, I'll take one for the team. And then he's kind of fucked, So if you notice, although I don't think Fist of North Star Man can only do it once a week, because, they don't really care about balance in anime, right? Yeah. They don't really care about that. Oh, man. I'm gonna call my character Goku. He's gonna punch people and then they explode. Yeah. And second, it has no effect on the undead or creatures which can be hit only by magical weaponry. It doesn't affect ghosts, guys. I'm sorry. I know. It doesn't actually make any sense. Sorry. He's already dead. You tried to do Quivering Palm on the ghost. But the ghost is already dead. Most accurate statement ever made. Yeah, it doesn't work. Fish Northstar Man can't kill anything that's already dead. Its catchphrase doesn't work. Number 3. The victim cannot not have more hit dice than the monk using the power. And the thing about that is that monks, fighters, they have like 1 hit dice, which like every level, when you level up, you roll the dice, and that's how many hit points they get. A fighter has a very high hit dice, with only like 1. Monk, they have like 2 or 3, but they're lower. So the monk actually has a lot of hit dice. And they also increase as he levels up. So this kind of like, this like preventing you from like being able to destroy any creature. You know, like, oh, it's this big boss creature. He has like 50 hit dice. Oh, but he dies in 1 hit. No, you can't. It's like guillotine, right? In Pokemon. Like, so he's a higher level. We're not gonna let you cheese this one. That's it. Or there's another one. And in any event, the total hit points of the victim cannot exceed those of the monk by more than 200%, or the power has no effect. So if the target has more than twice the hit points of the monk, also doesn't work. So right there, you can tell, because like that's double the hit points, or it's equal. Oh, sorry, hang on a second. Either equal to the hit dice, or twice the hit points. So right there, that tells you that he has a lot of hit dice, but not as many hit points. So yeah, that's the super ability. Oh my god. Oh, and then there. So that's the super ability. Straight up one hit, and any time. You just can. Oh wait, hang on a second. The 4th thing, of course, the command the die. The control of the vibrations must be given by the monk within a set time limit. So yeah, I don't know why you would keep someone from dying. I guess it's like, hey, if you don't do this, you're dead. I'll only cease the vibrations if you do this thing, and you have a week. That's why you would do it, or you just do it to say the catchphrase. That's the other thing, right? Must be given by the monk within a set time limit, or else the vibrations simply cease of their own accord and do no damage whatsoever. The time limit of that command is 1 day per level of experience the monk has gained at the time the power is used. Okay, so even if you level up, the time limit doesn't increase. Okay, that doesn't really matter. But it's like, so it's 1 day per level. So at level 17 days. He gets it at level 13, so that's at least 2 weeks. Okay, that's good. You know, he can just decide, whatever. And like in 5th edition, apparently, like, I think that the time limit is infinite, but if the target is in another dimension, it doesn't work. They have to be in the same plane. So if you get hit by a monk, and you might just like leave the planet. Hey guys, let's go to Sigil. You know, I have to hang out here, and if the monk ever comes to Sigil, I'm dead. Yeah. So now I'm gonna try to find the next part, because there's this other part about monks that is so anime. It's actually glorious. Yeah, there's all these strictures which they have to abide by. You know, armor. They cannot wear armor. Weapons used by monk characters shown and carry. Yeah, only like martial weapons like a bow stick, or nunchucks. They have to have a small fraction of whatever treasure they may not retain more than a small fraction of whatever treasure they gain. You know, even the paladins like, no, I can't have treasure, guys. I can't have it. Magic items, yeah, they can use some of the stuff. Monks don't get any bonus either with respect to increasing to hits, probably to increase hit points of damage for strength ability. You that as well. Until attaining the rank of master, monks may not have any hirelings or henchmen. Yeah, no, you might not have, like, I can't hire anyone. Sorry, I can't have a nanny look after my kids, because I'm not high enough level. Because I'm, you know, it's not allowed by the other monks. They're gonna be, oh, here we go. This is amazing. This is amazing. I love this. This is the most anime thing ever. This is like Goku having like, oh, power level 1 trillion. And then some other guy shows up. It's like, there can be only one. And I'm serious. There can be only a limited number of monks above 7th level. Superior or master above 7th level. There are 3 8th level master dragons. and but one of each higher level. So any level above 8 level, there can only be one of that level. That's crazy. That is crazy. You know why? Because when you have a level 20 fighter, right? Or level 20 wizard, yeah, those guys are badass. But you can have as many as you want. You can have a whole wizard's tower full of level 20 wizards, you know? It's doable. It's not interesting. It's like having, it's like in Pokemon, like, oh, you're the champion? So am I. We're all the champion. Nowadays in new Pokemon games, you're champion certified. How about you try beating the fucking Battle Frontier? That's an achievement. But monks? They have to fight each other. If they reach a certain level, they have to fight each other. Meaning that a level 17 monk isn't just a badass because they reach level 17. They beat up every single other level 17 monk that ever wanted to be level 17. They're the best. So at some point, they're all going to have 18 null. The only monks that are going to be able to reach that are going to have 18 null stats. And they're going to be min-maxed to shit. They're going to have the best strategy, best weapons. And they're going to have a shit ton of potions, maybe. And they're going to, at the end, it's going to be luck. You're just going to have a bunch of clones. Because what happens, right? When a player character monk gains sufficient experience points to qualify him or her for 8th level, the commensurate abilities are attained only temporarily. The monk must find and defeat in single combat, hand to hand, without weapons or magic items. So no potions either. One of the 8th level monks. The white, the green, or the red. Yeah, that's what they are. The same must be done at the 9th and higher levels. So, you temporarily gain the abilities to make it an even playing field. Right? So when there are 4 level 8 monks at the same time, that is allowed, but only as far as the tournament is concerned. That's kind of what it is. It's like, there can be only one level 1 trillion power level guy. So we're going to have a tournament. And everyone's joined in. And everyone else, if you lose, you become power level 9,999,999,999,999. Only one person may become level 1 trillion. And Goku has to be the one to defend Earth or whatever. Right? So yeah, you literally have to go find them. The loser of these combats loses enough experience points to place him or her at the lowest number possible to attain a level just beneath the new level. So straight up, so if you're almost level 9, like level 10, and a level 9 shows up, and he's like, I'm the new level 9, I'm gonna kick your ass. And if he wins, not only do you go back to level 9, but all those experience points you were... So if you do end up becoming... You straight become level 8 at the beginning. You go back to that. And then you probably have to fight the level 8 guy. Because now there's 2 level 8s. So if you're level 17 and you're unlucky as fuck, right? Then this can happen. If you're you're level 16 and you're almost level 17, you lose, you go, all the experience points you got, gone. Then also the experience points to get you to level 16, gone. You were almost 2 levels. You basically lose 2 levels. And then you have to find the last level 15 guy. And if you lose that one, level 14, then level 13, level 12, level 5. So this quivering palm thing, this was attained level 13. Only one person can do this in the world. Talking to plants, only one monk can even do that. You wanna like meditate and gain 15 hit points a day? Well, sorry, but only one person in the world can do that. Straight up. So having multiple monks in the party, don't do that. Don't do it. Don't do that. Because you're gonna have level 70 monk, level 60 monk, level 50 monk, and then they're gonna have to constantly fight each other. That sucks. Don't do that. Yeah. The monk character will know where to locate the higher level monks, and he or she must proceed immediately to do combat or else lose experience points equal to the number which will replace him or the lowest. So if you don't do it, if you run away, and this can be either the sitting level 60 monk or you, if one of you tries to evade the other, no, they have to go at each other. It's like they're meditating on a mountain and they're like, oh, a challenger. I must leave at once. Someone has attained level 10. I am a level 10 monk. I was almost gonna battle level 11 monk, but now I must fight this level 10 monk and get him back to level 9. I must go. That's what happens. He's just amazing. Oh. He or she should have sought out, but did not. Okay, you get back to the last level. That is, the player character drops to 7th level in the above case and must then work upwards once again. Oh my god. Oh, that sucks. That is sucks. But it's, it's hardcore. It fits, It's an anime thing to do. It is kind of cool that way. You're gonna have that stupid, like, it's silly, but it's also like badass, because this isn't the thing where you got a writer and the writer's just like, oh, Goku wins or some shit. No, like, you need to actually, like, you need to make a plan. You need to have an attack plan. You need to pick the right, like, area, and you need to get lucky in your rolls. You need to pick your moves. It's just crazy. But actually, I think there was more. I think I skipped something. Because there definitely is more. Oh, here we go. Open hand combat damage is shown on Monk's table 2 below. In addition, the Monk has a chance to stun or even kill an opponent. So they can kill opponents, even without the quivering palm ability. Like the delay, that's like the just touch them and then the delay. That's like a bonus. Because even without that, just at base, they can instantly kill people. They can already do it. They just can't do it on a delay. So sorry, you're not quite Fist North Star One Punch Man yet. You're just One Punch Man. Okay, but okay, at level 1. Jesus. An opponent is stunned by a monk for 1d6 melee rounds. If the score of the monk's 2 hits die score exceeds the minimum number required for a hit by 5 or more. So if an enemy has like I'll just use positive like armor class. So if an enemy has 10 armor class and you roll a 15, you stun them. You need to roll at least 5 higher than you would have needed to hit them. Okay, so if a enemy has really good armor class, you're probably not going to be able to stun them. You can still hit them, but you need to get a really good hit. So it's only like weak enemies you can stun. Okay, that's fair. It's balanced a bit like that. Yeah, you can instantly kill people, but it is very anime in that way. It's like, yeah, you can kill some. So Fist of North Star Man can kill some punk with a stupid mohawk, but you can't beat the super guy, the super villain, in one hit. That's when the actual interesting fight has to happen, right? So it makes sense that way. Okay, the 2-hit score rolled by the monk are never modified by any strength ability bonuses. The chance to kill is a percentage which equals the armor class of the opponent. Modified by the number of experience levels above 7 which the monk has attained. So only level 7 can they start, no, above 7. So that's also the level where you have to start finding other monks and fighting them. So yeah, killing someone instantly, you do have, so no, it's not level 1, but like stunning, still pretty good. Yeah, so, oh my god. So this is kind of difficult, because like, if you're level 7, and your opponent has armor class 6, you have a 1% chance to kill them. And, because the way it works, let me see. The monk must score a hit, and the hit must stun the opponent. And the percentile die score must be equal to or less than the armor class to stun the opponent. Modified by monks. Okay, so you need to get the stun. So you need to roll higher than their armor class already. So that's any high level guy, just can't even stun him, can't kill him. Okay. Any character with good armor class, at least, They may be high level, they just can't have good armor class. Okay, so like, that's still wiggle room. If you get like an enemy with really high HP with really bad armor class, okay. Then you need to be as high level as possible, and the armor class also has to be bad. It's again like bad armor class. So level 17, your percentage chance to instantly kill a guy with an armor class of 10 is 7%. So yeah, 1%. If you only have like 1 point higher, you're 1 level higher, then 1%, yeah, you roll the die. It's 1 to 1 chance. And like maximum level 17. So if your opponent has a really bad armor class, like they have like 0, that's like 17%. So if they have even worse armor class than that, maybe you can get to 25%. But the guy is so bad, they will probably only have like 10 hit points anyway. So yeah, it's not something that happens a lot. So again, it's kind of balanced like that. It is balanced. I want to punch a guy and have them instantly die. Well, yeah, sometimes, but not all the time. That's what keeps it balanced. And that's kind of the final thing I kind of want to talk about. Is because then okay, this guy is really cool, kind of. Okay, he's really cool. He's really awesome. He's really intense. But how does he fit in the party? Well, back then, nowadays everything's very balanced. As in, every class has to basically be good at any part of the game. Back in the first edition, team play was a lot more important. Some classes were just straight up worse than others, but only at certain levels. So, and there was multiple ways to do this. Like kind of powers they get, how many hit points they have, the abilities they get. One thing was like experience growth levels. So when it comes to thieves level up quicker at the beginning of their adventure than any other class. They just level 1, 2, 3. They can be level 3 before the other characters are level 2 maybe. Like 2.5 maybe. Later on, it's kind of like balances out. So thieves kind of get like a head start, right? But so they're really good earlier in the level 1 to 10 range. But later on, they're like not as good, and also they're not good in combat. But they can find traps and stuff really well. They kind of lose power later on, right? So wizards are level up really slow. Yeah, just the whole way through, they level up slow. So they don't get like a level 2 wizard is hanging out with like level 4 characters sometimes, right? So that's really sucks. But it balances out because wizards are so much better in the late game. So it's kind of like in Pokemon too, like certain Pokemon just level up quicker. If you have a level 100 Pokemon, if you look at their experience points total, if it's a starter or just an average Pokemon, it'll be like 1,000,000. It takes 1,000,000 experience points for a Pokemon to go from level 1 to level 100. A legendary Pokemon, or a pseudo-legendary like Tyranitar, will have an experience point total of 1,250,000. So it takes them 25% more experience to level up, which is why using a pseudo-legendary in a playthrough is usually a bad idea, especially since they only reach that highest level at level like 50, 55, and by that time you're like, yeah, it's Pokemon League, but you still need to do a little bit of grinding. And before that, their previous forms aren't that strong. I've used a Larvitar like in Pokemon XD. I've used, a Noibat in Pokemon Ultra Moon, and those Pokemon really suck. Like they're not, even Puppetars, it's typing, Rock Round, not very good. Rock Dark is better, but it's not that good. So this is why Pokemon like Butterfree and Beedrill are so good, right? Like they are really weak in competitive, but they are really good in a playthrough. In the early game, they really are strong. I played Pokemon Fire Red a while ago. My Beedrill was still putting in work in Sabrina's gym. Especially Psych type. Tweeneal, that shit. It does make sense. They have this idea of being really weak, but in practice, you'd be surprised by them. Because a Beedrill still has like 80 special defense. That's pretty good for a level like 14 Pokemon. And you got like Pokemon that only evolve. They're just already kind of good. But then they evolve later. Your starter basically stays good like early, mid, late. That's kind of how it works. But, they level up quicker too. Characters in Dungeons & Dragons, not only do characters like level up quicker, but they're stronger at different levels. Fighters are the best at level 1. They just are. Specifically, again, because they can just go to a store and buy a good weapon, buy a good like plate mail, and they have super good armor class, they have good hit points. As they level up, they do get stronger. Of course, they can get proficiencies in all kinds of weapons. At level 20, they probably have like a bow, like a proficiency in bow and halberd and spear and longsword. At level 9, they become like a lord and get a castle, and then they get all these retainers, and they get magic weapons, magic armor, like a warhorse. And they get better at fighting because level 1 fighters are not good at actually hitting. Their tackle, their accuracy is really bad. But they have the hit points and the armor class to kind of keep going. They're very in the long haul. Eventually they'll get that 20 and then they crit you. They have really good saving throws. Saving throw against death, petrification, poison. That's what they get. And so level 20 fighter is a badass. Absolutely. But compared to the wizard, then the wizard level 1 is sucks. Just sucks. He can cast like one spell per day, unless he has an 18 intelligence, which is like incredible. And then he can cast like two, maybe. He only has he only has like 5 spells to pick from. He has no armor class. He can't wear any armor, and he only has a maximum of 4 hit points, between 1 and 4. You roll a d4, that's your hit points. You roll the 1 hit point. So every single arrow that's going his way is not only hitting, it's not only killing, but it's also hitting super easily. So he's screwed. He's completely screwed. At level 20, he is a god. Complete god. Like a level 20 fighter is deadly afraid of level 20 wizard. Completely afraid. Because then they have like 8 level, 7 level, they have like 8 first level spells, 7 second level spells, 6 third level spells, all the way up to level 8. They can cast like the wish spell to instantly kill people, power word kill. So like a fighter can like resist that, But like, can you resist like 8 magic missiles thrown after one another? Because magic missiles in like this edition, like it gets better as you level up. At first level you throw like 1, and it's like 1 to 5 hit points. Every 2 hit levels, it adds another one. So level 20, that's 10. So that's 10 to 50 HP in damage over the course of, like 8 turns. Well, that's every 1 turn. Actually, that's it, yeah. Every turn, 50 damage. And then he can throw like 8 of those per day, like one turn after another. Like maybe he gets, he still needs to roll like all 10s, all 5s on those 10 d5s. And sometimes he only does like 10, sometimes like 25. But that sucks, because that's stuff you can dodge. And then fireballs. Fighters can dodge fireballs. They take half damage if they save their dexterity saving throw. Okay, that's still like that's still a third level spell. It's still 6 fireballs after another. Lightning bolts. They can fly, go invisible. They can create illusion image. They're flying around like a dragon, like going fireball, blah 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 blah. The fighter is like, I'm gonna take my bow and pew. Okay, shield, mage armor. If they start losing, they just go and hide out in like another dimension. And then just heal themselves or something. Complete badasses. It's just gods. They're just screwed. And that's it. They're the Dragon Knights to the fighters like Butterfree. Now, luckily, they're a team, because they're not fighting each other. They're in a party. And that's the idea. Is they're supposed to protect each other. The fighter is taking care of the wizard, so that the wizard can repay him when they get to level 20 or something, right? So, and even then a wizard is still really valuable, because a fighter, they're not that good at sword fighting yet. They can't hit for shit. The wizard already has magic missile, which always hits, and already has sleep, which just puts a whole bunch of like up to 9 enemies to sleep. And then you can just go and like any hit on a sleeping enemy is like, it always hits, and it's a crit. So you can just insta kill them all. In Pool of Radiance, that's just what I did. Just have your wizards, one after another, cast sleep, and then you just hit them with stones. You can just throw stones at them, and they all die. So they're a team. And that's where the monk comes in. Because the monk is like a fighter, but he levels up like a wizard. And that's the idea. He's not that good in the early game, because he's just some nerd with like glasses. He's got like a black belt, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna kick you and punch you. But it's like only punches, it's not a sword. But as he gets better, as he gets stronger, he starts being able to break bricks. He can just break your freaking bones with a punch. He can kick your teeth out. He can dodge anything, like, whoa, huh. He can grab stuff and like throw it back at you. He can dodge explosions. He can insta-kill you, stun you, quivering palm, boom. You're already dead. Gone. And that's his power. So, if you're sick of playing a fighter, if you're like, oh, that's so boring, you can pick a monk. And you'll have a harder time in the early game. You have to be more careful with your wizard and stuff. Or maybe just not even have a wizard. But of course, if you do manage to get that far, if you get to level like 17, you and your wizards, and your cleric and thief or whatever, you're going to be like the super team. You can just kill people. Kill people really good. A wizard, they can cast power word kill. Monk, punching guy, anything that's immune to magic, and doesn't have too high hit points or hit dice, you can just punch, and they're gone. And that's something you can't underestimate. That's the secret. Because like they, as fighters and wizards, fighters start up here, wizards start up here, down here, but as they go up, as they level up, they kind of cross. And that's it. It's like the Ganondorf versus the Kazuya. That's it. And that's why things being unbalanced is sometimes better. Because the fighter is supposed to be a learning character. It's not every character has to be top tier. Some characters, like, and maybe in that way, it is like a fighting game. There's low tiers and there's high tiers. There's characters like Ganondorf and Bastion, who are supposed to be like bad. And then at high level, you got like Genji, and you got like Kazuya, you got like Peach and Daisy, Those are the characters who will really make it far. But you first need to get players like accustomed. And that's why the fighter that's the guy I pick. I pick him over the monk because this is the first time I'm playing Baldur's Gate. I don't know what's going to be thrown at me. So that's why I picked the fighter. If I replay Baldur's Gate, maybe I'll pick a monk. Maybe I should just do that. He's the high skill character. And I'll be rewarded for doing so. Yeah, but take inspiration from this. Seriously, read the original like Dungeons and Dragons books. They're really interesting. And maybe you'll get a cool idea for your game. Although like the whole swimming thing and alignment languages, maybe not that. But a monk who can instantly kill people? Okay, that's pretty cool. I'd go for that one. Because sometimes, being a little bit anime, because like, I'm not saying like punching a guy and then instantly dying isn't cool. I'm just saying that, you gotta have some good writing to go along with it. It has to be more balanced, You gotta get that, things can be over the top all the time. You gotta have some different levels, There still has to be, because that monk, sure, he's a badass, but there's a fighter somewhere who got him that far, who looked after his ass when he was just like punching you and being like, "I'll harm you." And you know the meme, the really old meme of the guy who's like, there's like some photo of the guy like he has glasses, some nerd, and he's like a judo, and then like superimposed in the background is his face, and the tagline is something like, "They laughed at my glasses. I laugh at their funerals." That's it. That's the monk. Super duper ultra nerd. But if he sticks around for long enough, can instantly kill the Tarrasque.